Buying a home is exciting, but what happens if something changes and you want to back out? Is it ever too late? In today's video, I'm going over an important question. When is it too late to back out of buying a home in Ontario? There are two main types of home purchases in Ontario: new construction and resale. A new construction property is a home that's being built or was recently built and has never been lived in. It's typically purchased directly from a builder or developer. A resale property, on the other hand, is a home that has already been lived in and is being sold by the current owner. Buyers of new construction homes benefit from a 10-day cooling off period. This means that once the contract is signed and the deposit is provided, a buyer can still pull out of the deal within 10 calendar days for any reason. Maybe a lawyer reviewed the agreement and raised concerns, or maybe you just got cold feet. Either way, as long as you provide written notice within that window, you can cancel the deal without penalty. Resale properties are a different story. There's no cooling off period when you're buying a resale home in Ontario. Once the agreement of purchase and sale has been signed by all parties and the deal is firm, that word firm is important and I'll circle back to that shortly, the contract is legally binding. Backing out at that point comes with serious financial consequences. Now let's take a step back. When a buyer submits an offer to a seller, that offer will either include conditions or not. If there are no conditions, it's considered a firm deal right from the start. But if the offer does include conditions like financing or home inspection and the seller accepts it, the buyer has the right to back out only if they're not satisfied with the outcome of those specific conditions. For example, if the buyer includes a home inspection condition and the report reveals significant issues, they can notify the seller that the condition hasn't been fulfilled. At that point, a mutual release is signed and the deposit is returned to the buyer. That said, conditions aren't blanket exit options. I dive into this in more detail in another video, but here's the short version. A buyer must have a reasonable condition-related reason to terminate the deal. It has to be something that most other buyers would also consider a deal breaker. Now, let's go back to firm deals. If a deal is firm from the start, or if it becomes firm after the buyer waives or fulfills all conditions, both parties are legally obligated to close. If a buyer walks away from a firm agreement, the seller can sue for the deposit or for damages, whichever is greater. And damages can add up quickly, especially if the seller is forced to relist the home and sell it for a lower price. At the very least, the buyer will lose their deposit, which is often 5% or more of the purchase price in Toronto. Now you might be wondering, can a seller back out of an accepted offer in Ontario? The answer is no, not without consequences. If a seller tries to walk away from a signed deal, the buyer can take legal action to enforce the sale or seek compensation. So, when is it too late to back out? If you're still within the 10-day cooling off period for new construction, or if you're still within the conditional period on a resale deal, you have options. But once the deal goes firm, you're bound to it, and walking away could cost you much more than just your deposit. Understanding these timelines and legal obligations can save you from a lot of stress before you make one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. I hope you found this helpful, and if you have questions about your specific situation or you want help navigating your next move, feel free to reach out anytime. I'm always happy to help.